With me is the US Ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti. This is a relationship that has seen a lot of engagement and starting with, of course, not only engagement, but perhaps the irritants first. We know that India is concerned about the space being given to Khalistani extremists like Pannun. What do you have to say about that? And also any update on the attack that happened at the Indian consulate in San Francisco?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I know that people like to follow the challenging moments, but let me just say, as I end my time here, just how remarkable the U.S.-India relationship, friendship, partnership is. We've set records in visas, records in visitors, records in students, records in trade, records in defense cooperation, record defense sales, record space cooperation. The list goes on and on. So as we look at those challenging moments, I also think it's the sign of our strength that it's like a marriage. It's not whether you love each other, clearly we do. It's whether we get through an occasional fight or a difference of opinion. And we're showing our ability to do that. We're working very closely. We take very serious any threat against Indian diplomats. We've made progress, deep investigation, and working with Indian officials on the attacks which no diplomat, let alone an Indian diplomat, should ever have to face at the consulate in my home state of California. And secondarily, we're pleased to see India making progress in what it said, because systems are not perfect, but we have to make sure systemic change ensures that no laws ever get broken in the future, and that accountability will occur where there are missteps. And yesterday's news, we welcome that step. It's very positive. And again, adding to the positivity of what we've accomplished, it shows even in our challenging moments, we know how to move through them with positivity too.
Defense is one relationship that has grown leaps and bounds, but in that as well, the GE deal, whether it's the 404 deal or 414 deal, any update on the negotiations and also the delay that is impacting India's Tejas program?
We are excited that this is the most exquisite technology we've ever shared in the world with anybody, even our closest allies. And now those negotiations are really between two companies, HAL and GE. But I'm confident that the next generation of Indian fighter jets will be powered by the best engines in the world and produced here in India. In fact, we may buy some of our engine parts or engines in the future from India. We're really integrating our supply chains. We're integrating our research and development. We know it's a tight moment to get supplies because of all the wars in the world, but we are committed to those deals. We're going to make sure only the 404s, which will help the current generation of Tejas fighters go forward, but the future generation of Tejas fighters that will be that fifth generation fighter indigenously produced here, we are also committed to, and we've seen great progress.
Terrorism is another area where both countries work together. One aspect is the extradition of Tahawwur Rana, who was one of the key architects of the terror attacks in Mumbai. What's the update on his extradition?
I was just in Mumbai at the site of the Taj Hotel where that tragedy occurred, and I promised then, as I promise now, we will see justice served. And this is another beautiful example of how we work together. This investigation from the FBI, this prosecution from our Department of Justice, and there's one last appeal, but the Supreme Court has never overturned an extradition order in the history of the United States. We don't expect to do it now. So as soon as we get the paperwork from India assuring that transfer, it will happen.
On Russia, were India and the American side see eye to eye? Because we saw earlier the American side criticizing India for importing the energy, but it looked like there was a U-turn from the American side. If you can perhaps set the record and essentially if you can talk about that.
Well, I've certainly never criticized, and the U.S. government hasn't criticized the legal purchase that was authorized of oil and gas. But it's clear India and the United States respect international law. And the most important international law is you don't invade and cross a border, something India has to experience too many times in its own history. So making sure that we don't fuel an unwarranted war machine coming out of Russia is very important to the American people. Even the incoming administration has, as they have moved towards trying to help Russia and Ukraine find peace, that is still non-negotiable. So we know that there is plentiful oil. We've put other places that India can purchase so that prices aren't affected here from the Middle East, from North America. So we know that the world doesn't have to fuel a war in order to fuel its economy.
Overall, sir, how do you see your legacy as some big ticket developments we saw last 24 hours were about India-US relationship and the fact that the American side removed 3 Indian entities from restricted list? That is something significant as well.
I've been working very hard to the very end in this country I love, you know, whether it's cricket, whether it's consulates, whether it's cooperation, record trade that we saw, record visas, and we're very excited that visa wait time, we'll be announcing in the weeks ahead, has dramatically come down, and visa wait time doesn't even exist for most categories now, and 60% more. The more Indians we can come to America, the more Americans we can send to India. I hope that will be my legacy, that Indians coming to watch a gold medal in the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, that'll be part of what we worked on. Increased trade and investment, jobs here, and jobs in America from our companies investing together, that will be a legacy. And at the end of the day, it's really about the people-to-people ties. When we know India's great history, when we see its ambitions, and you can count on America to be India's closest friend, we will always be there for you.
So my last question to you is, how much perhaps Bangladesh was an issue for India-US relationship? We saw Hasina leaving, that was seen as a setback for India. There's a rise of Jamaat as well, increased Chinese engagement. What's your sense like?
I think we both share the principles that we want to see a peaceful, democratic South Asia. And we share those principles. We're coordinating on that together. We've spoken out clearly that whether it's Bangladesh or any country, religious minorities should not be persecuted. And I think we have an opportunity. Both of us want to see democracy and democratic elections established in Bangladesh as soon as possible, and that can help Bangladesh open its next chapter. It's not about the past, it's about what we can do together, and India and the United States have never acted together around the world more closely than today.
Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION, and best of luck for your new endeavors.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Thank you, sir. With video journalist Neeraj Patel, Sidhant Sibbal for WION in New Delhi.